it's Stone Age and you go into this cave and a bear attacks you. Hey, welcome back to Uncivilized Rebirth. This is a place that I hope you find to be a voice of reason, rational arguments, and discussions based in reality about healing. And hopefully you'll find tools here that will help you on your journey. I'm going to use that word. So, our past healing can kind of predict where we go in the future. And why is that? Because many times in the past, we have pre-programmed in responses to stimuli that's given to us in the three-dimensional world, which actually affects our judgment in our choices to the path or for the path that we take next. So let's say in the past that you got in a car wreck and you got very scared to drive again. Let's say you're 17, your parents just chewed you out and freaked you out, wouldn't let you drive, and just treated you like you were the worst person because you had this little fender bender. And they just went overboard and blew it up. Because we all know parents can do that crap. Hello there, mustache. So, in your mind, you always have this feeling of just a horrible after effect of a wreck. When in reality, it could just be like, hey, we're going to swap numbers. We're going to figure out what to do, talk to insurance. Can we get this bumper replaced? Blah, blah, blah. All good. Now, as an adult, let's say it's 10 years later, and you get in a fender bender, and you go into this downward spiral for several weeks. And you're just like, just making bad decisions for a week or two, and you just can't get out of your head of what a terrible person you are. And let's say that you were about to start driving with Uber. But because of that, you choose to stay home and stay in your parents' basement because now you're afraid to get out there and drive again because you just had a fender bender and you think you're just a terrible person, so you don't go out there and try something new. Guess what? That is a limiting glass ceiling or a limiting belief system that is put into your brain, and that prevents you from taking a step out into the unknown. So, life can do many, many, many things like that over the course of the time we spend on Earth because our brain is constantly being programmed. And as it's programmed with these responses that are not healthy, that limits us even more in the world. Let's take it one step further. Here we go, mustache. Let's say you're a kid and you're going to the store with your parents. And I say kid a lot because a lot of these core beliefs and limiting structures that are put into our brain, and I'll explain what that looks like on the inside, happen when we're younger and our brains are molding and forming to put in these markers of how to react in the world and how to program in reactions. So you go to the grocery store and your mother's there with you and she just embarrasses you and treats you like crap because you spilt the milk accidentally, dropped a gallon of milk and it busted, but you were just a kid. It happens. And she's getting all mad. The clerk's like, no, that's okay. It's not a big deal. And so now as an adult, like you get anxiety going through the checkout, and because you had been treated so poorly and you're so scared, and then you got punished when you got home. So now as an adult, it's like you don't even want to go to the grocery store and check out for the fact that you have this deep, deep layer of coding saying like bad things are going to happen, just stay away from this situation. And it even gets further into PTSD, like that puts a big mental barrier up into stepping into areas of life that are new or that remind you of that incident, because that is our protective instincts. Let's say it's Stone Age and you go into this cave and a bear attacks you, but you make it out. Well, then for the rest of your life, you never go into a cave by yourself ever again because there could be a bear in there. But it gets to a certain point where you don't even have to remember that there was a bear in there. You just don't go. It's just blocked out of your life. It's like, I do not participate in going in caves in this caveman life. And you don't even have to remember the bear. It's just a response that's put in of protection. So we get into the world and we find ourselves not wanting to step out, not wanting to take risks or move into new territory. And a new territory for me was actually starting to college and trying to get a real actual education. And that was very scary for me. I was very apprehensive, but I did it anyway. But then I started getting into these root problems that were programmed into me as a kid due to education. And this is an example, like I had a book used as a punishment tool. It's like, you have to sit in front of this math book. I'm not going to explain it to you how it works. You're going to get in trouble if you don't do the work. And you have to sit here for like 6 or 7 hours a day in front of this math book for months on end. It's literally your prison. So for me, sitting down at a desk and not knowing how to do something is just like a prison sentence. Like, nobody's going to explain it. I'm going to get in trouble if I leave this desk. I'm going to get in trouble when I don't get the answers right. I'm going to get in trouble when I do anything here. So basically, I'm just going to check out and sit right here. So that's what happens now when I'm in new territory with college even. It's like, okay, I see this new territory, like this new subject to learn. But I have to realize, like, there are these like deep rooted in, programmed in limiting beliefs or limiting behaviors that I have to program out, because I'm not in trouble. I'm not going to get in trouble if I don't get the answer right. Like, none of that garbage is going to happen. And now it's like, I'm not forced to sit here for 6 hours a day, in front of a math book. I have people I can call. I can talk to people to help me walk through it. And so I have to change that limiting belief by taking actions. And that limiting belief or that limiting response was programmed in at a young age. And so we have to break out of the structure that was built into our minds. And when we do this, it frees us up to try anything new within reason. The first thing that popped in my mind was scarification. I'm like, no, thank you. I saw that. The first time I saw that was probably like 15, 20 years ago. I was like, no, like that's something I would never, ever be interested. No, thank you. So that's one thing in new territory I'm not ever going to try. But when you free yourself up into realizing that I'm a human mechanism that's programmed or is able to program in a new ability. And when you see it that way, not as in like, I can't do this, I'm afraid, I don't care. It's like, take emotions out and look at it as just like, this is a machine for learning. You go over here, you learn this thing, and then you do it. It's like, once it gets boiled down to that, it's like easy. And for me, another thing that's a little difficult is programming in new words and adding the description to them. It's like, that takes a little bit of time. But when you free your mind of limiting beliefs, you're allowed to step into new territory. And I'll leave you with this. So I know there are some people that will get stuck in a town for 60, 70, 80 years and literally never leave that town. And that's their entire life. They've never seen what the world is like. And it may be because I'm afraid of a plane. I don't want to leave home. I don't want to leave my routine. I don't want to do this. Like, all of those things are limiting in the mind. There is no actual chain on your leg preventing you from seeing the world. You're just keeping yourself here because of what you believe. And if you break out of what you believe your limits are and what your comfort zone is, then you can experience the world for what it is and not get trapped in your mind, and it becomes a prison that you can't even see. I hope some of this made sense. I hope it helps somebody. If you like this channel, like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'm not a master, but I do know some things. If you have any mean comments, please leave them below, or don't just don't. That'd be cool. But if you do, I'm going to respond as gentlemanly as I can. And then I'm going to end the video. Roadhouse.